The British government has resorted to lies, to nonsense, to false claims to protect Israeli football hooligans, and it's been completely humiliated by Maccabi Tel Aviv anyway. A little recap. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were banned from attending an away match against Aston Villa after police advice warning of disorder. The British government and media then whipped up hysteria that this was anti-Semitism, completely erasing in the process the history of Maccabi Tel Aviv racist hooliganism, while the polling showed that they were overriding British public opinion. Enter Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy, who used to pose as a left-winger and has played an absolutely disgraceful role during Israel's genocide. Before the general election, when she was Shadow International Development Secretary, she helped legitimize Israeli smears against the main humanitarian agency in Gaza, UNRWA. She will never wash the shame away for that. Let's listen to what she said in an emergency debate about Maccabi Tel Aviv, because that's the sort of thing our politicians judge to be a crisis worthy of parliamentary time.
What is completely different about this case is not just that it's the first time since the early 2000s in this country that a decision has been taken to ban entirely away fans from attending a game. It's that the risk assessment is based in no small part on the risk posed to those fans that are attending who support Maccabi Tel Aviv because they are Israeli and because they are Jewish. Now, we should be appalled by that and never allow it to stand.
She says this is the first time since the early 2000s that a decision has been taken to ban entirely away fans from attending a game. As many have pointed out on social media, this is false, completely false. The same applied to Rangers versus Napoli in 2022, Villa versus Legia Warsaw in 2023, Celtic versus Rangers in 2025. Either Nandy is lying or she's incompetent. Which is it, Lisa? Either way, why on earth should you be in your job? Now, know what she also does here. Conflate being Jewish with being Israeli. To be clear, I don't just support a ban on Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. I support a total boycott of Israeli football, just as there was a boycott of South African football under apartheid, and just as there is a boycott of Russian football after the invasion of Ukraine. It wasn't anti-white to support a boycott of South African football. It's not Russophobia to support a boycott on Russian football, and it's not anti-Semitism to boycott Israeli football after and during a genocide. What Lisa Nandy is doing is conflating taking a stand against Israel's genocide using whatever levers we have at our disposal with anti-Semitism. And that is disgusting. And it sums up what a total disgrace she is. Now, we keep hearing these false claims about Maccabi Tel Aviv. Listen to the former Conservative Cabinet Minister Ian Duncan Smith getting corrected by the left-wing Labour MP Ian Byrne.
I simply say this, that when they did the partial assessment, of course, everybody centred on Amsterdam, but they had played a game in Istanbul and there was no trouble at all in that game. And so it's a bit partial to choose one bit of evidence the other.
The Right Honourable Member for Chingford and Woodford Green stated today, Maccabi Tel Aviv, I played a game in Istanbul and there was no trouble at all. UEFA moved the game to Hungary after Turkish authorities refused to stage it in Turkey. Hungarian authorities then played it behind closed doors, hence no trouble.
This really sums up the whole so-called debate about Israel and Palestine. It's just stripped of any truth by our political and media elites so that they can turn the world on its head. And what about this, honestly? Oh my word. Listen to this from Zarah Sultana, the former Labour MP and now founding a left-wing party with Jeremy Corbyn. Listen to the disgraceful reaction to what she said.
Zarah Sultana. Deputy Speaker, Maccabi Tel Aviv's racist fan hooliganism cannot be separated from Israeli militarism. Many of these fans are active or former soldiers who have taken part in Israel's genocide in Gaza. They should be investigated for war crimes the moment they set foot onto British soil, not welcomed into our stadiums. And let's be clear, this Labour government is no innocent bystander. It has armed Israel's genocide, it has provided diplomatic cover, and it has shamefully denied that genocide is even taking place. So I ask the Minister, is there anything this Labour government won't do to defend the genocidal apartheid state of Israel?
Firstly, the gasps of shock and horror when Zarah Sultana noted that the racist hooliganism of Maccabi Tel Aviv cannot be divorced from Israeli militarism, as though this is some obscene, outrageous comment. Israel is an ethno-nationalist state. That is a fact. That was officially sanctified in 2018 by the nation-state law, which was passed, which stated that only Jewish people have the right to self-determination in the land of Israel. It is a fact that it is Israel subjecting the Palestinian people to an illegal occupation, and that Israel is colonizing their land illegally. It has been the consensus of human rights organizations for a long time that Israel is subjecting the people, the Palestinian people, to apartheid. And it is the consensus of genocide scholars that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. The polling in Israel is very clear and very gruesome. And that is, Israeli society is in the grip of what I keep calling genocidal mania, with overwhelming support for propositions like the deliberate starvation of Gaza, the violent destruction of Gaza, the removal of the surviving Palestinian people from their land. We could go on. It is also a fact that a large number of the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans have served in Gaza and, for example, have served in the West Bank. In Gaza, committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. In the West Bank, enforcing a brutal and illegal occupation. The idea that you can divorce the racist hooliganism of those fans as they chant things like "death to Arabs" and sing songs with lyrics which celebrate the idea there's no children left in Gaza because Israel's killed them all. I'm not joking, that's one of their songs. The idea you can divorce that from Israeli militarism is the insane idea. And yet it's Zarah Sultana making that link that is treated as insane. This is the world turning on its head, you see. Obviously, you can't divorce the racist hooliganism of Maccabi Tel Aviv from the racist colonization and genocide which Israel is perpetrating. It's stupid to do that. And if this was another state which wasn't a Western ally, then anyone who didn't think that would be judged to be insane. Now, what Lisa and Andy then does in that statement is to conflate what Zarah Sultana says about the need to boycott Israeli football and to make that link, the obvious link, she conflates that with anti-Semitism.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I like the Honourable Lady, but I have to say that she is doing the people of Birmingham no favours with that sort of rhetoric. You know, when it comes to the conflation that she makes between all of the Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters and the actions of the Israeli government, that is precisely what the honourable gentleman was talking about blaming, in many cases, British citizens who happen to support Maccabi Tel Aviv for actions that are taking place in the Middle East. Conflating being Jewish and Israeli, I have to say, I'm afraid, is in itself anti-Semitism. I think she should take more care with her remarks.
This abuse of anti-Semitism is so disgusting. It's so disgusting. And I'll keep saying it. Anti-Semitism is a very real evil. I take anti-Semitism extremely seriously. Anti-Semitism, within living memory, caused the mass extermination in the Shoah of the Jewish people in Europe, 2/3 of whom were killed in a very short space of time. And it has been responsible for other horrors for our gruesome history. You know, and anti-Semitism is real. And it is a threat to Jewish people. To rid that term of meaning for these cynical attempts to defend Israel is disgusting. Which is why Zarah Sultana quite correctly then interjected with a point of order.
Ms. Sultana, is it an appropriate point of order? Zarah Sultana, point of order.
On a point of order, Madam Deputy Speaker, in my question to the Secretary of State, I clearly stated that Maccabi Tel Aviv football team is inextricably linked to the Israeli state, which is an apartheid state. The boycott of apartheid regimes, such as apartheid South Africa, is a legitimate political stance. To label such a position as anti-Semitic, as the Secretary of State did, is entirely false and dangerous. And the way the Secretary of State has referred to me and my colleagues is also laced with Islamophobia.
Order. Ms. Sultana, I do not have to repeat myself more than once. This is a continuation of the debate. The statement, the UQ, forgive me, has concluded.
Well, the Speaker ruled there that Zarah Sultana couldn't defend herself, but she is absolutely right. Even as Israel continues to murder Palestinians, even as the tortured, mutilated bodies of Palestinians are returned to Gaza by the Israeli army, anyone seeking to apply the same standards to Israel as were applied correctly to South Africa under apartheid is treated as a hateful, dangerous extremist. The world turned its head. Thank goodness then. Thank goodness we've got Zach Polanski, the new leader of the Green Party, who has clearly decided to commit to a strategy of no bullshit, of being very direct, unapologetic. You'll see what I mean. Let's listen to what he said on ITV's Peston.
Ahmed has said that, banning the Maccabi fans was wrong. Your deputy leader endorsed the banning of the Maccabi fans. So where are you on it?
Well, I'm one of 5 people in British history that have been Jewish and the leader of a British political party. So I take anti-Semitism really seriously. I don't think this was anti-Semitic at all, though. There's a very big difference between being Jewish and supporting the Israeli
But your
state.
deputy leader went further and said that, in general, he wanted to see a general boycott of Israeli sports teams. You can't endorse that, can you?
I absolutely endorse that. In the same way we have with Russia, we're currently seeing an ongoing genocide. And actually, I think it's important that athletes are allowed to play, but to play under their state banner or a city in Israel, I think is deeply problematic.
But Israel, you have to accept Israel as a democracy, and you're basically punishing essentially innocent citizens for, it's perfectly reasonable to criticise the Israeli government, but to punish citizens in that way is surely not appropriate.
Well, first of all, protesters who were on the flotilla recently were subject to torture. They were kept in dark rooms all day. They were not treated how any democracy...
All right, annoyingly, I'm told, which is really frustrating because I wanted to bring Katie in, but I'm out of time. That's it. So
that shows how to do it there. Don't give an inch, don't show a weakness, stand your ground, which is probably why he was conveniently shut down so quickly there. Now, the Green membership has surpassed 130,000, by the way, eclipsing the Conservatives. And in the latest poll, the Greens have risen to 15%, according to YouGov, just 2 points behind the Tories and 5 points behind Labour. At the last election, they got 6.2%. So you can see there a drastic rise after only a short space of time. And that has a lot to do with the fact that Zach Polanski has decided to be principled, clear, direct, to say what so many people are thinking. And that's why Green Party support will go higher. Now, after all of this, after the determination of the government to overturn the police decision and throw resources at protecting football hooligans from Israel, while smearing anyone who dissents as hateful, racist extremists, Maccabi Tel Aviv announces that they're not going to make tickets available for their fans to go to Birmingham. Their statement acknowledges that they have extreme racist fans, which they claim to be dealing with, but as journalist Solomon Hughes notes, a new Israel Fund study in 2023 showed they have the second most racist fans in Israel, with no action taken against them, or indeed any other racist fans in Israel, including anti-Arab chants, anti-black chants, and racist chants against their own players. But what's actually interesting is a source has told Jewish News the risk posed by anti-Israel protesters was substantial, but we thought we had a plan to prevent them from prevailing. But that changed with the intervention of Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson, of course, is the far-right thug who's been imprisoned repeatedly for various offences, who Israel have embraced, literally given him an official visit, which is, actually fair enough. I think a completely reasonable. I'm not taking the piss here, by the way, because I think it's extremely helpful for Israel to just be very open as a state and clear about who they are. They're an ethno-nationalist, racist state. And they are openly supporting and courting the far right across the Western world, who they see as their natural allies. And they see Tommy Robinson as someone who personifies their values. That is a fact. That's a fact. That's why they've given him an official visit to Israel. Not a joke. That's what they said. They said he's a courageous fighter, etc., etc. Yeah, anyway, so then the statement, according to Jewish News, says, there was now also danger that our supporters could be falsely associated with his far-right activities in front of anti-Israel protesters already out to get them. With Robinson's supporters potentially posing as Maccabi fans on the streets of Birmingham, we concluded that the risk had become unacceptable for innocent fans who just want to watch their team play. Yes, I can imagine how that would be a PR disaster. Tommy Robinson has urged his supporters to go to this game. So, but again, just to be blunt here, making the statement saying, oh, we don't want to get associated with them, your state has given them an official visit. They've literally, they've made clear he's their ally. So, he's just doing what makes sense. Let's just be honest about it. What a disgusting farce this has proven. What matters here is that Israel, with Western support, with British support, has erased Gaza from the face of the earth and committed every single war crime that there is to commit in the prosecution of a live-streamed genocide. And anyone who supports taking any action whatsoever in response, including supporting a police ban on racist, violent Israeli football hooligans, is smeared as a hateful, racist, dangerous extremist. Well, I'll tell you this. The real, hateful, racist, dangerous extremists are those who have armed and facilitated a genocide. They've got blood on their hands. And right now, sure, I get it. They can use the machinery of the state and the British press to monster and silence their opponents. Well, I hope you are enjoying your sowing, because you sure as hell are not going to enjoy the reaping. Please like and subscribe. Help us to challenge this bullshit, this deranged, insane bullshit at patreon.com/Sojourner34. You make all of this possible. As I keep saying, I am finishing a book called The Fall of the West, which is taking a lot of time. So, we're doing our best to keep the video channel, all the rest of it, but I'll be able to throw far more time and effort into it when I finally finish my book. But nonetheless, thanks for, we're doing our best. In the meantime, but that's all thanks to you. So share the video, press like, subscribe, leave your comments. I'll speak to you in a bit.